I noticed a situation that had occurred at North Americans this year, and that was that you had. I looked up who won the pro cards, and I was like, where are the rest? Because they had given out pro cards for the overall winners for the Open and the Masters. And that's according to NPC Worldwide rules. And they say you have to have a minimum of 5 competitors. And then if you do, then you only hand out the one pro card for the overall. However, if you go over to the NPC USA website, they have their own set of rules for North Americans. And that's been the case for quite a while, is that all class winners get pro cards. So you've got two organizations with two different sets of rules for the same show. And I bring this up because Hannah Hussein and Michelle Bogdan ran into the exact same situation at that same show a couple years earlier, and they had brought that up to the judges because they originally weren't going to get their pro cards at that show for the same reason, and that was what was cited by the judges. And so, but then when they brought that up, then they got their pro cards. So the reason Hannah and Michelle are IFBB pros is because they brought up this discrepancy. And I even just checked before the show went on. We have the exact same thing coming at nationals. Later on this year, or like the next couple of weeks. And so it's like when I see that, it's like, who do you listen to? It's like NPC Worldwide and NPC USA. If a show falls under the auspices of both organizations, whose takes precedence? I mean, this confusion, it's like we're talking pro cards here. We're not just talking a minor issue. So it's like, what happens there? I mean, have they not has NPC USA not updated their site since the coming of NPC Worldwide, or what's going on?
Yeah, that's kind of because I know I had a pleasure of both having Michelle and Hannah on my interview with them on my channel, and I remember, yeah, because Hannah was supposed to do a show before that. She was going to do the Miss International because there was only two competitors that show. She dropped out, and that was the year that Taylor, what's the face, won her pro card.
Iragi.
Yeah,
Taylor
Iragi,
Iragi. Yeah.
yeah, and yeah, I remember they mentioned that they said that afterwards they had to talk to someone, and then they got their pro cards. It was just it was, I don't know what's going on. You think about it. Okay, if you have two different levels, okay, the worldwide covers mostly shows outside the country. All right, and the other NPC is supposed to be within the U.S. But as you know, the North Americans, you can compete. You can be a competitor from Canada and from Mexico and compete in that show. Unlike with nationals, you have to be, you don't see that many competitors out of states to do that show unless you do the amateur Olympia.
Yeah, it's just I've been trying to figure out what's going on here, and it's like this is something that has been there now for years. Because I think Hannah and Michelle was like 2 years ago when this
Yes.
happened. So it's like, and it's still not resolved. So what is good? So what's going on with these national level shows where you've got two different sets of rules by two organizations at the same show? I mean, talk about causing confusion. And also, it's like, I would think that it would stress out the competitors. I mean, the two that I'm thinking of, the three women are Samantha Brightbeck, I think is her name, Taylor Bollinger, and Sharon Friccione. Now, Sharon's moot point because she already got her pro card in WPD at that same show. So in a different division. So she's already taken care of as far as pro cards go. But the other two women, it's like, I would think that you would think that someone would have done something. I mean, these two women, the sheer amount of work that goes into a contest prep, and I don't know if they were even realizing that going into the show or not, because it's like they should be getting both Taylor and Samantha should have gotten their pro cards. So why didn't they? Is it because of discrimination against the women's bodybuilding division, or what's going on?
Interesting. Yeah, that I didn't realize that was an issue, and I'm glad you pointed it out. I mean, one big problem still with NPC Worldwide is they have so few competitors show up that they don't even give out a pro card to the winner a lot of times, especially in Europe, and that seems like a big problem too.
Right. It's like, why would you put a rule in like that that diminishes the probability of you getting a pro card so dramatically? I mean, it's like, and then it's like, and it's not like you don't have an option. You do have the petition route in which you can petition them directly, but still, I mean, you're right, David. I mean, it's like, why would you institute a rule where you limit the number of pro cards so much?
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, because I remember that one lady, she she did the, I think it was, what show was that? It was the Eastern European show, and it was only two competitors. One, both of them did physique, and one did women's bodybuilding. And her name was Louise Plummer. I think Plum, I think it is. And she applied for a pro card. I remember the same thing happened a while back with a lady who I interviewed, Issa Seiler. Her and Amy Menendez, they were at a show in Europe, and they both won. I think they were the only two women doing bodybuilding. They won in each of their classes because there was enough competitors. They applied for the pro card because I know Amy Muscles got Amy. They call her Amy Muscles. Amy Menendez. She got her maybe the next month, and then I remember Issa posted something. She got hers.
yeah, same thing with yeah, that's my post, and that's where I circled what the rule is for North Americans,
Mm.
and and then no, that's the next.
Okay.
Go back to that,
Yeah.
and then let's see. Yeah, you'd have to scroll through. You have to swipe left to be able to see the other ones.
Yeah.
So, and that brings the name. That's where I bring up. That's where I bring up the names, and I show the screenshots from the galleries over in NPC Worldwide. So
What's going on? It's not letting me
you
slide.
maybe it may be the
Yeah.
white. You maybe not be able to see it.
Oh, I can see the arrow there a little bit.
Yeah.
It's
Wait a minute.
just right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, it's just I think it's because it's there. I think you got it.
Yeah.
I think you got it.
Okay.
There
Yeah,
we
I
go.
got it.
There you go. Yeah.
Now
All right.
that's the list, the total list of the pro cards that were handed
Yeah.
out. You
Because
know, it's the
yeah.
overall winners and the other thing is that from Shelley McClure, from what I could tell, she is a class. No, she wouldn't be a class winner. She was a class winner in one of the Masters divisions. But those are the total number. Now these are the names for light heavyweight. The top there is Samantha Brightbeck. That one right there. She should be getting a pro card,
Mhm.
but she didn't, as the list shows. And then if you go a couple more, you'll see the other two, which would be Sharon Friccione.
Yeah.
And there's Sharon. She's the Masters 30 wide lightweight winner. And then also you go one more, you'll see Taylor at the very bottom there, lightweight winner. So see, three women right there should have gotten their pro cards according to the rules according to the rule that I circled, and they didn't. So it's
Well,
like you wonder what's going on there.
yeah. I interviewed Sharon. That was just the week after she got a pro card. Also, it was a couple weeks after she got a pro card. I interviewed Jennifer Rudolph, who also got a pro card at the show. Um, I don't know. Like I said, it's. I think the situation is something with the NPC.
Yeah.
They need to stick to. It's like how we talk about how the criteria when it comes down to the divisions. They need to stick to the rules. Okay, if this was a show, I would say. I think the reason why I said again why they do use the worldwide rules because the show is an international show, meaning that other people, other countries couldn't compete this show. But some people can't compete. If you're from like, okay, think about it. I just interviewed a young lady who's from Cyprus. Her husband's planning on competing, and they're moving here to the States. And he says he's gonna try to do competitions here. Okay, when you live in here in the U.S., you can compete, but then you come from another country. That's why I think it's a lot harder for these competitors to find shows because there's not so many of them. I think most of the shows that are getting like Just All Lady just got a pro card in figure in a show. I think it was in Denmark, and then I saw Female Body Champ. They're supposed to have one woman. There was not enough competitors, so they get their pro cards. It wasn't that long ago, and it was at the Remaining Muscle Fest. There was a lady. She was competing, and she did not get a pro card because she was the only one competing in women's bodybuilding. She can apply for a pro card. That's what you usually let you do if she wanted. But it's just the thing is, it's up to the judges sometimes. They feel like if you deserve your pro card, they give it to you. Where I think I'll bring her up here because this is on the Female Body Channel's IG page. Let's see.
But do you guys think that's fair though? Because as a competitor, you can't control who shows up. You may be the only one to show up. So, I mean, you don't know who's going to be there until you do check-ins or even at the show. So I think to the competitors, it's kind of not fair because if you put in all the hard work, you spend all the money, and you be the only one show up at the show and not get anything for it, at what point is there it's almost like the competitors being penalized because they're the only ones that showed up.
Right.
I agree with you on that. I think that's going to be really devastating to these competitors after all that hard work, and to show up and not get.
Yeah, I would be very upset if I put all that work in, spent all that money, plane, flight, hotel, and all that, and God forbid I'm the only one that shows up, and then they tell, we're not going to give you anything because you're the only ones here that is here. So I'm like, well, that's not my fault though. That's not my fault that I'm the only one at this show. So at what point do you not penalize the competitor for being the only one that's there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it seems almost like stigmatism because when another example would be Alexandra Antipova of Russia over at Oksana Grishina's show that they had over there. And at that show, all the class, again, or all the overall winners were supposed to be getting pro cards at that show. The lone one who didn't was the women's bodybuilding competitor, Alexandra. And that's because she was, again, like one of only 2 or 3 women showing up. So it's like out of all of the other divisions, men and women alike at this show. So it's like women's physique got their pro card, figure got their pro card, fitness got their pro card, bikini and wellness got their pro card, but she's the lone one that didn't because of this rule. Now she applied the petition route and she got accepted. So she's an IFBB pro now, but I still think that's crazy for the exact same reason that she mentioned. I'm sorry, what's the first name again?
It's Beverly.
Beverly. Okay.
Everybody calls me
see.
B. You can call me B. Everybody calls me B.
Okay. And it's just and Beverly pointed out, it's like for them to be the low division at a show in which this doesn't happen. I mean, and again, after all the work that goes into a contest prep, I mean, all the training, the dieting, the posing practice, everything, to not be able to get your pro card because of something like this, I think is ridiculous. So,
yeah, I agree.
Here we have a comment from a man, KL, the one that says, "Hey, what's up? What's up, brother?" He says, everyone I met, okay. Also, he says this. He says, pull it up. Says, I remember that happened to a lady I talked with months ago. She told me she was the only one on the stage. Yeah, and also he's always saying like, does FBB fans get pro cards too? No, dumbass.
No.
But I mean, even with the competitions, everybody, the top 2 get their pro card. The only one that doesn't is women's bodybuilding. You have to be the top person. So my thing is they need to get together and kind of, I guess, revamp this. I don't know how they would do it, but because again, that's not fair to the competitor. If you're the only one that shows up, or there's only 2 of you competing, and I'm not going to give y'all, or give you a pro card, because to me at that point, then you're punishing the competitor, and then they may decide I don't even want to compete anymore because of this.
Yeah, I noticed happened to Jarissa Upton, a lady who I interviewed a while back. She also competed there, the North Americans. She did a show. It was in Caribbean. She supposed to have got her pro card at that show, but then I remember she posted. I said, "Hey, congratulations on your pro card." Then she didn't turn pro. She did. I think she did another couple more shows this year. And it's not fair. You put in that work time, go over here, bitch, because you remember it was like 2 or 3 women in her class, and that was it. And also it's happened to a lady who also I know. I was hoping to have her on because she experienced it. She was at that's Yetta May. She was at the Miss International. And that is, Miss International, that's a show where it's a pro qualifier for women's bodybuilding. It's one of the few shows that's exclusively a pro qualifier for women's bodybuilding. Because remember, Miss International was the second biggest title for women's bodybuilding in IFBB, next to Olympia. Now she competed in her class. I think it was lightweight. I think it was only her and another girl. Because there was only 2 of her, she can get a pro card. But usually, I know in the past, all you got to do is win in your class at that show and get a pro card.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know what's going on. They use the same rules because it was Jake.
That was even in the promotional material, if I'm not mistaken. That the class winners were supposed to be able to get their pro cards at that, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy, I think, because these people aren't showing up to the shows because they don't think that it's gonna pay off. It's like they're not. Why should I show up if I'm not going to get a pro card after all this hard work? So I do think that that's part of the reason why the Europe shows are so poorly, such a poor show out, So, yeah, I want to mention too, women's bodybuilding always gets short end of the stick. And one example I was thinking about recently is Tyler Mannion, when he did his analysis of each of the divisions from the Olympia. He spent like 4 minutes on each of women's physique and bodybuilding, but I saw he spent like 23 minutes talking about men's open, and he just kind of talked about top 5 with the women's physique and bodybuilding, and I was like, yeah, it's kind of shitty. I don't know. I think a little bit of equal time there would be nice, but I don't know. Just used to those divisions getting short end of the stick and being treated kind of shitty,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. With them, they don't really care about women's bodybuilding because they're supposed to be starting this new expo thing, and they announced that they're gonna add men's open. And they've had men's before the Pittsburgh Pro. Now they're gonna announce and say, okay, I was hoping maybe because Jake was there and he was hanging out there. I saw Jake picture Jake. He took a picture with Natalie Ray Wolf, and he was there. I said, okay, maybe Jake can talk to see if he can maybe promote with bodybuilder that show because they're trying to be like something to rival the Arnold, be their own expo. But then they announced they was going to have men's bodybuilding. I said, okay, maybe I'll wait down the line and maybe they announced. They've announced that they're going to do pro qualifier for naturals. Okay, all right, okay, all right, but still, I mean, but we all know that. I know my man Keith told me that certain persons that runs Olympia, they don't want women's bodybuilder there either.
Yeah, and it's like also, getting back to what I was saying earlier about the rules. If you look at the NPC worldwide rules for the Arnold Amateur, there's one division that's missing from that list, and that's women's bodybuilding.
Well, actually,
I was wondering when I saw that.
Let me correct that. He added that last year, and they did have it this year too. But the problem was not enough competitors.
No, that's not what I'm saying. Oh. I'm saying that if you go to the Pro League website and you go under NPC worldwide rules, when it comes to the Arnold Amateur, when it shows that, unless things have changed and I don't know about it. Let's see here. Let's see if I can pull it up. Let's see, where are you? Table 2, Arnold Amateur. It's like, what's the one division that's missing? And that's women's bodybuilding. So it's like when I've seen that, and that's been up there for a while now, does that mean that the women flat out are not even being considered for pro cards anymore for the Arnold Amateur? Or does that, so it's like when that's missing, it's like, what exactly are you saying when you're doing that? Is this going to be like the lone division where they're not going to have pro cards, but everybody else does? And if that's the case, how is that anything other than discriminatory towards women bodybuilders?
Yeah. I know this year they didn't get no pros for women's physique because they didn't have enough competitors. And I think it was the same thing last year because that was that year when they canceled the Arnold Classic, the Arnold Amateur, and then a lot of competitors just got their entry fee money back. And then they decided to bring it back just a little bit. I think it was they decided to cancel like maybe just a couple weeks before Thanksgiving, and they brought it back to just the week before December, just maybe 2 weeks before Christmas.
Right.
And you think about it, when you already pay your fee and they bring you back to your money, what are you going to do? You got about maybe $600-700 in your pocket, and you're just going to go ahead and, use that for the holidays, because especially you have families. Right here, we have your comment from, he says, talk about female FBB haters. It's in the owners too. Yeah. Also, he says, Arnold shows no mercy. The T1000.
That's true. Yeah, think about AI now these days. He's going to be going berserk pretty soon, I think.
Yeah, but like I said, this happened also at the Amateur Olympia. I know a lady who competed there. She won in her class, but women's bodybuilding. But because there was enough bodies, she can get a pro card. And
that's not fair. That's not fair to the competitor. Because you don't know who's going to show up, so they need to. I think that they need to figure out, because you're telling the competitor, I'm going to take your money, but I'm not going to reward you because, I'm sorry, you're the only person that showed up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Now, with the Pittsburgh Pro that you mentioned, George, do they already have, what women's divisions do they have already at the show? Do you know?
Well, most of them they have physique. They have the generals like, figure, wellness, bikini. I'm not sure they have fitness or not. They never had women's bodybuilding. And that's it.
Okay. Because it's like, I look at that, but you notice that Taylor did exactly the same thing that the Arnold did when it came to prize money. He said they've got $200,000 that's going to be handed out in prize money. I think that if I read that right, it's strictly for the open men's. So I'm like, you're able to scrounge up almost $250,000 that you're going to have in prize money, but you can't scrounge up, what is it, $10,000 to enter women's bodybuilding as a division at the show? Mm-hmm. Just like the Arnold did. When they said, we're going to hand out $200,000 in prize money to the winner of the show, it's like, you can never use the money argument ever again. Because if your show is such that you can round up almost $250,000 to give to one guy, but you're also the show that says, we've got to tighten our belts. It was a financial decision to get rid of women's bodybuilding, women's physique, and figure. It's like you were able to come up with almost $250,000. You can't come up with even $10,000, $20,000 for even one of these divisions to bring it back. It's like, it's just not an argument.
Yeah, it's just a great excuse, because with family saying because not enough people want to watch women's bodybuilding, but that's a BS. I remember KL, and KL, you went to New York Pro. He went to New Pro just this summer. If you want to come in, brother, the link's in the description in the comment section if you want to check it out. He went there. He said that during bikini, everybody started to walk out. So you're telling me
during bikini?
Yeah.
Well, that's a surprise. Okay.
Competitors though too. They probably had a ton of competitors. That's the biggest female class also.
Yeah, because I think it was at the Universe. I was talking to one lady who just got a pro card just this weekend. A friend of hers who I did an interview a while back. She told me she went to Universe, and she said that it was like maybe 600 bikini girls.
Oh my God!
And Universe was a pro qualifier. And if you think about it, when you do a show and you got that many women, then no offense, I recently interviewed the lovely Miss Monique Chilcutt. I've interviewed a couple of competing competitors on my channel. It is kind of a boring division. It's just not as exciting compared to women's bodybuilding, compared to physique. I even give figure look. Fitness, it's more active. It's just you just moving, walk around, stick out your butt, and that's about it.
It is kind of boring in my
But
opinion.
look at what society, even though there are people who like women's physique and bodybuilding, society and most of the men, they want to look at the TNA. And that's actually not discrediting what other women do, but that's an easier division to prep for.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. The other divisions, they're pretty intense. I just think that I really appreciated seeing this year, the quality of women bodybuilders that came out. Hunter Henderson. There were several women. So I'm hoping with that, it'll launch into something else and grow, because my dog is driving me nuts. Sorry about this. But
it's all right.
But hopefully there was great quality of women bodybuilders. So hopefully they'll keep the momentum going and grow and keep growing, where they can't refuse women's bodybuilding from competing.
Which division do you compete in, Beverly?
I'm going to do women's bodybuilding, but I'm also going to dabble in women's physique. Right now, me and my coach discussed, we got to work on some things. I took like almost 4 years off. So that was kind of like, okay, you're starting from scratch now again. So we're trying to get some areas up, and probably I'll do it. I'm thinking early spring. He said I should be where I need to be, probably early spring. So we'll see what happens. But this 2025, I'm looking forward to it. It's been a while.
That's great. Yeah. I do. That one cool thing, I think the pro schedule is supposed to be out probably soon. It's usually comes out in December. So I'm kind of curious to see. I'm always curious to see every year, like what show added or subtracted women's physique and women's bodybuilding and even figure too, because I think there's fewer shows doing figure. I'm not sure about that though.
With figure, I don't know. It's kind of like with the women's, it's on the edge there, because if you look at some of the women now, like you guys, I think Jeremy, you were here that other day when we were talking about. I'm gonna pull this from Fear and Bobby channel. I pull this up, and it's this young girl. I was talking with her, but I was hoping maybe do an interview, but she don't speak English, and she's a figure competitor.
Oh yeah,
I saw that.
Stefana. And
she's amazing. Oh,
I mean,
she's almost physique, really.
Yeah,
but she competes in figure.
Well, I've noticed the same thing. It's like I'll look at pictures of somebody that'll come up like in suggestions box or something like that and say, oh wow, she looks like a great physique competitor, and then I look at her bio and she sees IFBB figure pro. I'm like, what? Wait, wrong, you're in the wrong division. It's gonna say move up, but
that's where ladies like that. That's true.
And this morning I interviewed a young lady. Her name is Cleo Markadis. She got her pro card in figure at the Romania Muscle Fest also, but she also competed in women's physique. And she says she's really focusing on women's physique because she don't like the high heels too much.
She looks good.
Yeah.
But that Stefano, man, that girl is really something else. I was like, whoa.
Yeah. And it's like I said, this is one thing is, I follow me about the channel, they always post stuff. And they post this on their they post this in their it was
what was that?
It was some IG thing.
What was that?
I think. Now this is Tessa, this is Tessa Metz. And they had a comment saying she took 9th place at the Olympia. And last weekend she took 9th at she did another show. I think she did the Atlantic Coast.
Yeah.
And this is where I've talked about her before. This is where are you looking at where you're saying, is this really women's physique or is this figure or women's physique?
I like her for figure still, actually. I like her look.
And see that at the top there, when I read that, I was like, I I just kind of did a double take on that because he says ignore the criteria. It's like, okay, but why then do we have criteria?
Yeah, that's
Why
true.
why do we have this criteria set down that we all are ignoring? So what is the point of that?
Exactly. A lot of blurred lines because you
Mhm.
have women that can do figure, physique, and bodybuilding, but the guys aren't set up like that. Some of them can blur over, but right now, when you go to even nationals, some of the girls will do 3 different categories and they're just trying to see where they fall. And, you know, I get that some people are shredded and everything, but I think for bodybuilding, you should have some size too. And I've seen a lot of girls get their pro card, they were shredded, but they had no size. So I'm like, well, that's kind of a yin and yang for me because I feel like bodybuilding, you should have some size, but you should also have conditioning.
Mhm.
But I've seen girls that were super shredded and they almost fell into figure and women's physique. So maybe it's just me, but
Well, I understand because you know what? It's so subjective. What's the guidelines for both divisions? You know, if it's so easy for some, especially in amateurs, it's so easy for you to cross over. If you're going like some of the ladies who did the North Americans, they were both doing like one lady I interviewed, Stephanie Herrera. She won 3 pro cards, 2 of them in 2 different classes of physique, and 1 in figure.
Mhm.
And and you see other ladies who also won the pro cards both in women's bodybuilder and also in women's physique. And you just saw recently Chris Bumstead. He made his men's bodybuilding debut